All right, hey everybody, we are going to go over the numerical reasoning standards. So this shouldn't take but about 10 minutes, hopefully. All right. So you're looking at my screen and I have these typed in pretty similarly to what they are in Google Classroom currently, but I just want to talk about a couple terms so that you are aware of what you're doing. All right. So right here it says students will use number sense and proportional reasoning in real-world settings to make and communicate decisions in order to draw conclusions based on quantitative analysis. So that just means based on your understanding using numbers, all right? Quantitative analysis really just means using numbers to figure something out, okay? So remember we talked about this 1, 2, 3, 4 grading system yesterday, and it's 4 is exceeding, 3 is 60% roughly, right? Because it's meeting, and then 1 and 2 are just needing some help, okay? So this is what I'm going to want you to grade yourself on, and this is also what I'm going to grade you on. And so we'll talk through this every Friday when we meet, okay? All right, so let's start with the first standard. Solve real-world problems and interpret results involving calculations with percentages, decimals, and fractions. We've talked about this. I know a lot of you have weaknesses with percentages, with decimals, with fractions. However, we do have calculators, so don't stress that, okay? The next one is use estimation in real-world situations, know when and how and why. So that means, like, if you're driving down the road and you're trying to figure out if you have enough gas to make it to the next gas station, that's an estimation. You're not going to sit down and use the main numbers for that because that would just take too much time, and you're going to run yourself out of gas on accident, all right? So the next one is identify benchmarks. And so I put in parentheses here some things that I thought maybe would help. So like mental math, meaning use 10 instead of 12, or the population of Arkansas. So just some benchmark kinds of numbers. A lot of the benchmarks I would assume you would use would be multiples of 10 because that's just easier. So you're going to use those and compare them to other numbers to determine the truthfulness of claims. So like, there was a newspaper article not too long ago about one of the marathons, and it talked about how like 1.2 million people were watching it. Well, if you really analyze the claim, it's only so long. I think it's like, I don't know, 30 miles or something roughly like that. But if you even stack that 5 people deep the whole way, there's no way to fit that many people. So basically you're just using some common quick numbers. And so notice I used 5 and 30 instead of the actual numbers because that I could do very quickly mentally. And that lets me know that that claim was probably just not truthful. All right. So compare magnitudes of numbers. That really just is millions, billions. Scientific notation deals with magnitudes of numbers. It's just how many numbers there are past the zero, basically, is a very brief definition of it. We'll go more into it. Remember that we're going to do videos on each of these standards in days to come. I just wanted you to kind of be aware of what these look like in plain English. So then number 5 says use dimensional analysis to solve problems with different measurement units. So this means like converting currencies. So like if you're exchanging dollars for euros, or you're exchanging just currencies from place to place. So that would be what that would look like. Miles per gallon, that's also dimensional analysis. So if you're planning a road trip, you're looking at miles per gallon because a part of your budget for your road trip really needs to go to gas. Otherwise, you are not going to make it very far, right? You for sure want to have enough gas to get back to Arkansas. Also, dosages of medicine fall under number 5 as well. So I would not take the same amount of a medicine as my 5-year-old daughter would, all right? Because just there's a size difference there. 2 more to go and then we're done. So solving real-world problems with rates and ratios, that could be anything. You do this on a very regular basis, whether you know it or not, okay? This will probably be the easiest of the 7 standards to hit, all right? And then finally, identify differences between proportional and non-proportional real-world situations. So what I mean by that is like a pay rate is proportional. It's proportional to the amount of hours that you work, all right? So if you make $10 an hour and you made $100, then you worked 10 hours. Does that make sense? Pay is very proportional. Mileage, gas mileage in a vehicle is proportional, all right? Non-proportional, there are lots of examples of that too. Okay? All right, so I hopefully gave you some ideas on what this really looks like. Sorry about that. Hopefully I've given you some good ideas on how to interpret these a little bit better, so that way you can get some ideas on what you want your project to look like for this unit. Like I've told you before, with this unit you could do lots of stuff. You could plan a road trip, or you could plan a vacation. You could also, if you're interested in something medical, you could look at a new medication and you could talk about the dosages. That would be really good for this type of thing. Numerical reasoning really just asks you to take any math that you learned and apply it into a setting that's not school. All right? Okay. Thanks for listening.